You're not tired, you're undisciplined, you don't need a break. You need to get control of yourself. Every time you say, "I'll start tomorrow," you lose another piece of yourself today. You hand your power over to weakness. And weakness is greedy, it will take everything. You've got goals, right, dreams. Then why are you letting emotions drive the car? You can't wait to feel ready. You can't wait to feel like it. Because the version of you that has the life you want. They're not controlled by mood, they're controlled by mission. You're not your feelings, you're not your past, you're not your excuses. You are what you decide to do over and over and over again. Self-control is not a punishment. It's a superpower. The moment you say, "I don't negotiate with laziness," "I don't make space for distractions," "I don't fold under pressure," you become dangerous in the best way. Get up, get focused. Get disciplined, get control of yourself, because the future you want is only possible if you stop losing to the moment you're in. Discipline is more important than motivation, because motivation is a mood and moods change. It comes and goes like the weather. One day you're inspired, the next you feel like doing nothing. That's the problem. If you rely on motivation, your progress will always be unstable. Motivation makes you excited. Discipline makes you consistent, and it's consistency that builds results. Success isn't built on the days you feel good. It's built on the days you show up anyway, the days you're tired, the days you're doubting yourself, the days when everything in you says rest, but you choose to move. Discipline is doing what needs to be done, even when you don't want to, even when it's uncomfortable, even when no one is watching. Because you made a promise to yourself, and keeping that promise is how you build self-respect. Most people never reach their potential, not because they're not talented, but because they wait. They wait to feel ready. They wait to feel motivated. They wait for the perfect time. But here's the truth, there is no perfect time. The only time that exists is now, and what you do now matters. Every small action you take without motivation builds momentum, and that momentum will carry you when motivation disappears. Discipline makes you unstoppable, because when you're disciplined, you don't need to feel good to take action. You take action because you've decided who you are, and that version of you, the disciplined version, doesn't miss, doesn't flinch, doesn't negotiate. So stop waiting to feel like it. Start acting like it, because your goals don't care how you feel, and neither does the world. All that matters is whether you're moving or standing still. Don't let your emotions control your direction. Let your decisions define your destiny. Discipline first. Motivation will follow. You lose power every time you delay action. Every time you say, "I'll do it later." You hand over control to fear, doubt, and distraction. You think you're buying time, but what you're really doing is selling your potential. Procrastination doesn't just steal your time, it steals your momentum, it steals your confidence. It convinces you that waiting is safer than trying. But waiting never changed anyone's life. The longer you delay, the heavier the task becomes. What once was simple becomes overwhelming. What once felt possible starts to feel impossible. And not because it changed, but because you did. You let hesitation grow stronger than action. Every time you push something to tomorrow, you weaken the muscle of discipline. And when discipline weakens, so does belief in yourself. Because deep down, you know you're capable. You know what needs to be done. But when you don't act, that gap between what you could do and what you actually do becomes a weight you carry. Procrastination is a silent thief. It doesn't take everything at once. It robs you one day at a time, a few minutes here, a small excuse there, until one day you look around and realize nothing has changed because you never started. There's no perfect moment. There's no magical sign that says go. The right time is always now. The cost of waiting is higher than the fear of failing. Action creates power, even if it's messy, even if it's small, even if you're unsure, because forward is forward. So stop telling yourself you'll do it later. Later becomes never, and never becomes regret. Start now, not tomorrow, not when it's easy, not when it feels good. Start because every second you wait is a second you could be growing, building, changing. You don't need more time. You need to stop wasting the time you already have. Emotion is not a reliable driver, because emotions are temporary. They rise and fall like waves. One moment, you're inspired. The next, you're filled with doubt. You feel on top of the world today and completely lost tomorrow. If you let emotions steer the wheel, you'll drive in circles, start fast, crash early, then wonder why nothing lasts. Feelings can be powerful, but they're not consistent. They don't care about your goals. They care about comfort. And chasing comfort will never lead you to greatness. That's why you need something stronger, something deeper, something that doesn't shift when life gets hard. Your mission is your reason, your purpose, your non-negotiable. When the path gets dark, your mission is what keeps you moving. When fear shows up, when failure knocks, when no one is cheering you on, your mission reminds you why you started. You can't build a life on feelings. You build it on decisions. And your best decisions are made when you know your direction. Not when you're emotional, not when you're overwhelmed, but when you're rooted in purpose. Ask yourself, what is my mission? What do I stand for? What am I building, no matter how I feel today? Because when you're mission-driven, you act despite emotion. You keep going when it's boring, when it's painful, when it's quiet, when it's lonely. You rise not because you feel like it, but because you're built for it. Emotions will try to distract you, tell you to stop, to rest, to run, but your mission tells you to stay focused, to finish, to grow, to lead. Let your feelings come, let them pass, but don't hand them the keys to your life. Let your mission guide your choices. Let it shape your habits, let it fuel your discipline, because emotion fades, but purpose endures. Self-control is a mindset, not a mood. It's not something you wait for. It's not something that magically appears when life feels easy. It's something you choose deliberately, consistently, especially when it's hard. People think self-control is about being strong all the time, but it's not. It's about deciding who you are and sticking to it even when the moment tries to change you. You don't wake up with self-control, you build it, one decision at a time, one temptation resisted, one habit reinforced, one distraction ignored. It's not about being in the mood to do the right thing. It's about doing the right thing no matter your mood, because moods lie, they shift, they trick you into thinking comfort matters more than growth, but mindset, that's different. Mindset is stable. It's the foundation beneath every action you take. Self-control says, I will act based on who I want to become, not how I feel right now. It's refusing to let cravings make your decisions. It's staying focused when it's easier to scroll. It's waking up early when your body says sleep. It's saying no when the world screams yes. Discipline isn't about punishment, it's about freedom, freedom from regret, freedom from chaos, freedom from being controlled by impulse. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be committed to choosing self-control again and again until it becomes who you are. It's not glamorous, it's not loud, no one will clap for it, but it's powerful because the person who can master their choices can master their life. So stop waiting to feel strong. Start choosing to be strong, not just once, but every single day. Self-control isn't born in comfort. It's born in resistance, in sacrifice, in repetition. You either control the moment or the moment controls you. Make your decision, then protect it, because the power to stay on track is already in you. You just have to choose it. The life you want requires sacrifices you're avoiding. That dream version of you, stronger, smarter, more disciplined, more fulfilled, they don't come without a cost. Success isn't handed out. It's earned in the moments where most people choose comfort. It's built on the choices that feel uncomfortable, the habits that feel heavy, and the silence that comes when you walk a different path. Everyone wants the reward. Few are willing to pay the price, but you can't skip the struggle and expect the glory. You can't avoid the hard parts and still reach the top. You say you want freedom, but you keep choosing distraction. You say you want results, but you keep avoiding the work. You say you want change, but you keep holding on to everything that keeps you the same. There's a gap between where you are and where you want to be. And that gap is made of sacrifice, time you'd rather spend relaxing, comfort you'd rather not give up, people who don't support your growth, habits that feel good now but cost you later. You can't take all of that with you. The life you want travels light. It doesn't carry excuses, it doesn't carry ego, it doesn't carry fear disguised as taking it easy. You'll have to give something up: sleep, social media, validation, old identities, old patterns, old stories you've told yourself about what's possible. And yeah, it's going to hurt. It's going to feel unfair sometimes. You'll question it. You'll want to turn back. But every sacrifice you make becomes a brick in the life you're building. Nothing worth having comes without something worth giving up. If you want peace, you give up chaos. If you want strength, you give up comfort. If you want success, you give up excuses. You already know what needs to be done. You already know what you're holding on to that's holding you back. The question is, will you keep paying for it with your potential, or are you finally ready to let it go and earn the life you say you want? You are not your past. You are not your mistakes. You are not your pain, your failures, or the moments you wish you could erase. And you are not your excuses, not the reasons you gave, not the justifications you've repeated, not the stories you've told yourself to feel safe or to avoid the truth, because none of that defines you. What defines you are your habits, what you do every day, what you choose when no one's watching. How you respond when things get hard. That's who you really are, not what you intended to do, not what you dreamed about, but what you consistently do. That's your identity in motion. You can talk about change all day. You can tell yourself you want better, but if your habits don't reflect that, nothing will move, nothing will grow, nothing will change. You can't outrun a destructive routine with positive thinking. You can't escape your reality by blaming your history. Your past is a lesson, not a life sentence. It doesn't matter if you've failed 100 times. What matters is what you do now, right here, right in this moment. Your habits are the blueprint of your future. They either build you or break you. They either support your vision or sabotage your potential. Excuses feel good in the short term, but habits decide the long term. And long-term results don't come from feelings, they come from discipline. You want to know who you are becoming? Look at what you do every single day. Look at how you treat your time. Look at how you manage your energy. Look at how you show up. When it's hard, when it's boring, when it's quiet, you are not trapped by your past. You are shaped by your patterns. And if your current habits don't match the person you want to be, then it's time to rewrite the script. Not by talking louder, not by blaming others, but by changing what you do one small choice at a time, because that's where real identity begins. Resist negotiation with your lower self, that voice that says, just sleep a little longer, start tomorrow, one time won't hurt. It's not trying to help you, it's trying to keep you small, comfortable, average, safe. But you weren't built for average, you weren't made for mediocrity, and you won't reach your potential by listening to that voice. You have to draw hard lines, lines you don't cross, non-negotiables, because the moment you start negotiating with your lower self, you start losing ground. One excuse becomes two. One skipped workout becomes a week. One distraction becomes a pattern. And before you know it, you're back where you started, frustrated, behind, and filled with regret. Your lower self doesn't care about your goals. It cares about comfort. It wants easy. It wants now. But easy now means harder later. You don't reason with laziness. You don't compromise with fear. You don't argue with weakness. You silence them with action. Draw the line. No more snooze button. No more just one more time. And no more I'll do it when I feel like it. You either decide who's in charge, or your impulses will decide for you. And they don't care about your future. They only care about the next 5 minutes. Your higher self has a voice too. It's quieter, but it speaks through discipline, through clarity, through the calm that comes from doing what needs to be done. You have to get serious. You have to get strict. Not because you hate yourself, but because you respect your potential. Draw the line so clearly that even on your worst day, you know exactly what to do. No questions, no hesitation, no deal making with the weaker parts of you. Growth doesn't come from comfort. It comes from discipline enforced by boundaries, hard lines, non-negotiable standards. You are not here to entertain your lower self. You are here to overcome it, to outgrow it, to leave it behind, and every time you hold the line, you take another step toward the strongest version of you. Control leads to clarity, because when you are in control of your thoughts, your time, your actions, everything becomes simpler. You know what matters. You know what to say yes to and what to walk away from. But when you indulge every impulse, every distraction, every craving, chaos follows. Chaos doesn't arrive all at once. It creeps in through the small decisions you didn't think mattered. The 5 extra minutes on your phone, the skipped workout, the task you keep pushing to tomorrow. Every indulgence chips away at your focus, and without focus, you wander, you guess, you react instead of lead. Clarity is power. It's knowing your direction. It's waking up with purpose. It's being rooted, not tossed around by mood, noise, or temptation. But clarity doesn't just appear. It comes from control. Controlling your time, controlling your environment, controlling your mind when it wants to spiral. When you live with control, you create space for what matters. You protect your priorities. You hear your own voice, not the world's opinions. But when you live in indulgence, you drown in distraction. You chase comfort. You lose track of what matters because you're too busy feeding what doesn't. Indulgence feels good now, but it clouds your future. It steals your energy. It numbs your ambition. Control sharpens you. It gives you structure. It makes room for discipline to grow. And through that structure, you gain freedom from confusion. Freedom from regret. Freedom from that constant feeling of being behind. Most people want clarity, but they're not willing to live with control. They want answers, but they don't want to change their behavior. But you can't have both. You can't have chaos and peace. You can't live in indulgence and expect direction. Control is the foundation. It may feel restrictive at first, but it becomes the very thing that sets you free. Because when you know where you're going, and you've trained yourself to stay on course, everything else becomes noise, and clarity becomes your compass. Every moment is a test of your commitment, not just the big ones, not just the ones people see, but the small, silent moments when no one's watching, when the alarm goes off and you want to stay in bed, when the work gets hard and quitting sounds easier, when temptation shows up wearing comfort and convenience. Those are the real tests. Commitment isn't proven by what you say. It's proven by what you do over and over again, especially when it's inconvenient, especially when you don't feel like it. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, you pass the test. Every time you keep going when it gets uncomfortable, you strengthen your word, because commitment means doing what you said you'd do, long after the feeling that made you say it has faded. It's easy to commit when everything is going your way. When motivation is high, when the results are obvious, but real commitment is tested in resistance, in boredom, in fatigue, in loneliness. Every choice is a vote for who you are and who you are becoming. And your life, it's the sum of those votes. You don't become disciplined by accident. You become disciplined by repeatedly choosing to be when it's hard, when it's thankless, when no one gives you credit. That's where transformation lives, in the quiet repetitions that most people skip, in the unseen battles you fight with yourself, in the decision to rise again and again when comfort begs you to stay down. So ask yourself, how bad do you want it? Because life is watching, not through words, but through your patterns, and every moment is asking you, are you still committed? Not just when it's easy, not just when it's new, but now, right now, in this exact moment. What will your answer be? Power comes when you stop folding under pressure, not when life is smooth, not when everything is going your way, but when it gets heavy. When it gets real, when it gets uncomfortable. Pressure is not the enemy, it's the mirror. It shows you who you are. It exposes your limits, but it also reveals your potential. Most people run from pressure. They hide, they make excuses, they back off the moment things get hard. But pressure isn't meant to break you. It's meant to build you, to sharpen you, to show you where your strength begins. You gain power the moment you stop reacting emotionally and start responding with discipline. When you stop panicking and start breathing, when you stop collapsing and start focusing. Discipline is your anchor. It keeps you grounded when life tries to shake you. It keeps you moving when your mind says stop. It keeps you growing when everything around you says shrink. Pressure will test your habits, your patience, your values, and most of all, your commitment. But if you've trained yourself in discipline, you won't fold. You'll rise. You don't need to feel confident to be powerful. You don't need to feel fearless. You just need to stay consistent, disciplined, unmoved by the noise, unshaken by the chaos. Every time pressure hits and you hold the line, you build trust in yourself. You prove that you're not here to crack, you're here to conquer. Power doesn't scream, it doesn't panic, it doesn't quit, it breathes, it focuses, it moves with intention. Respond with discipline. When pressure builds, tighten your form. Stick to the plan, ignore the emotion, embrace the storm, because the people who rise, the people who win, the people who lead aren't the ones who avoid pressure. They're the ones who face it, feel it, and keep going anyway. That's where the power is, not in perfection, not in ease, but in the choice to stay solid when everything around you is trying to make you fold.